Hi guys, Demonic Angel, and this is my physical book collection that I currently have. I've lent some books out and other things. I actually lost a ton of books, a lot of really cool occult books, because I used to live in apartments that had bed bugs, and I mean, basically just didn't want to take any chances, and I threw away all those possessions, and I actually gave all my occult books to my downstairs neighbor, because he was staying, and I knew he liked the subject matter, so I figured, what the heck, I will start over. And yeah, I mean, I think my old neighbor actually knows about my YouTube channel, and his name was Joe. So, old neighbor, I really enjoyed the long talks and the smoking bowls. And if you ever want to get in touch with me, just shoot me an email. Yeah, so we all lived at this place that I was like, okay, I'm just leaving all this behind. Yeah, and then a lot of my Stephen King books, I have a lot of physical copies of Stephen King books, but I've actually given those out to some of my cousins to borrow. So, a lot of those kinds of classics, the Dark Tower series, even, I think, Salem's Lot. I think the other one was called Everything's Eventual, so it's like a collection of short stories by Stephen King. But we'll just go over, what I have, and, yeah, I'm at this point, I think, I moved maybe 18 months ago or something, and, this is what I have so far. And, of course, that considers that I am a child of the 90s, so I love to still read physical copies, even though if I want information, I'll get it online, rather than wait or something. And I haven't really been out for COVID, and I use Amazon sometimes, but not extremely often. So yeah, so what I have so far, I have, it's called The Last Lecture, by Randy Posh, and he was a professor who actually was diagnosed with a terminal cancer in his 40s, and he writes about literally giving his last lecture before he goes into hospice care. And no matter what you believe or anything like that, it really is neat to hear that perspective of somebody who knows they're going to die. And there'd be a lot that goes into that, but at the same time, it's a look into one of the various ways that people pass. So one I really just thought of that I wish I still had was oh gosh, what was The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, I think is how you say his name. I think he's a Brazilian guy, if I'm right. But The Alchemist, that's like my favorite book. I even paid for an expensive copy of that one, but I lost that. This is one of those that's like a historical fiction. I haven't read anything else by this author yet, but you get the idea is that it's not an actual person, but it's like historical fiction, so it's imagining. It's like if a pioneer woman kept a diary, and I actually really enjoy real history and historical fiction. This is really neat and very dear to me because the gears. So usually this guy, he writes with his wife, and they make a ton of different books. They probably have maybe 25 novels out, something like that. And what they're anthropologists. What they do is they, in this case, this is about the Civil War. Excellent, excellent book. They do the historical fiction, except they really play on some of the pagan ideas, and they'll really imagine themselves in these books as pagan people. And I think it's so beautiful. Actually, my grandmother turned me on to this series because at 81, she still reads every day. And I'm actually probably, the only one of her grandchildren that just loves to read. She used to be in a book club until kind of recently. So I said, well, I'll be your book club, and basically, I got started on this one. I don't remember which one I read first, but they're all really good. And if you haven't heard from them, I forgot his name. Kathleen might be the wife's name. But this one he wrote alone. This is my little Agatha Christie books. Now, I probably got these, I think they're 75 cents a pop or something at the library section where they sell the books. And I love anything Agatha Christie. That's about the one where there's a guy who gets murdered on a train, and there's all kinds of motives to murder him, but what happens is that everybody in the train stabbed him once, so that there wouldn't be one person solely responsible, because they literally all had motive. Now, even though it's very fanciful, it's actually really well crafted by Agatha Christie. She, the queen of mystery. I mean, in the early 1900s, this really, along with Arthur Conan Doyle, this was go-to mystery staple. And Agatha Christie's mother actually was a, fortune teller, spiritualist. So in some of her books, like her short stories in particular, there's psychic themes that kind of play into it. So what else do I want to show now? Oh yeah, so with I got that the Rider-Waite Smith deck, but and it comes in a little cardboard holder. And now I think my copy says U.S. Games or something 1971. They don't do that anymore because the Rider-Waite deck is actually in the public domain as of, I think it's this year or last year. So very, very cool. But this is the pictorial key. So Arthur Edward Waite, the gentleman from the Golden Dawn, who helped craft the Rider-Waite deck, he actually did the whole pictorial. So, and then his big contribution to tarot was what I just lost, the Celtic cross layout. So in addition to just contributing the astrological significance and numerological significance to the tarot, he really popularized the Celtic cross. And I think that's, it's pretty much a lot of people's favorite. I find it very useful just because it's so detailed and it makes for a good reading. Now I have a candle making book. A few of these I was able to just pick up or something from my parents' house still. I had thousands of books, so I'm just getting them back all slowly, but it's really interesting, and I'll actually show you guys a candle very, very soon, if I don't get to it today. But yeah, it's just, it's actually really detailed, as you can see. So it'll talk about how you can insert colors. Now sometimes it's just like, well, shit, fuck, damn it. I'm not going to put that much energy into making like a just candle look whatever. I'll just light a candle. But you know, a couple times the mood will strike me, and I'll make something that has the colors in it, and it just depends if that's something I feel like. But I haven't made anything super complicated, you know, yet as far as something like this. But I will, you know what, I will give it a try. I'll let you guys know. I talk about reading these guys. This is not the occult. Actually, there's a lot of occult themes in here, though. So, I mean, you know, that's... I mean, I'm always looking for that anyway, but the main detective, Pendergast, he uses astral projection, yoga techniques to see things from this different perspective that helps kind of solve some of these cases. I mean, I found these guys back when I was in college. And I just bought a book off the shelf because it was like the 25% off author section. And I, you know, probably just spent the next whole day reading. Like, I read a whole book, and so that's how I'm like, okay, I really got pulled into this series now. But highly recommend. Honestly, it really appeals to a broad range of people. It's kind of sci-fi. You know, there's some occult kind of themes in it. So, I mean, this is kind of my most boring section, if you will. Mundane would probably be a better way to say it. But these are things like lawyer and crime novels. This is about a serial killer and a woman detective who pursues the killer. And then this was really Linwood Barclay, probably my favorite out of these three, because these three books I just showed you, these were ones that my grandma gave me, and then I traded her a few books. And, you know, so now I've read them all, and I'll have to give them back. But this guy thinks that he's losing his mind because he keeps hearing a typewriter, even though there's nobody there. But, you know, then the plot really evolves into this, you know, murderous end. So it was pretty good. Oh yeah, I did used to have all the books, you know, all three of the main novels from here. But, you know, I recently, look at this, I think I got this one. Because, see, I like to go in random shops. But I think this one's like a, yeah, St. Vincent de Paul. And it's like $1. And, you know, I wanted to get all my copies of this back. I'm not really into fiction that much at all. But this is a big exception for me. I love all these movies. I love all these books. Huge fan. So then over here I have Tony Hillerman. So if you've never been to the Southwest United States, a lot of people, or even if you've never been to America, people I think kind of hear about Native Americans and perhaps wonder about their perspectives. And this guy was heavily involved in their community, grew up, you know, near Native Americans, and this really does honestly capture an essence of the Southwest mysticism, because these are Navajos, and so it's two detectives, and they're both Navajos on the actual police. So the way it really does work in America is that the reservations that the Native Americans live on, they have their own police force that's separate from whatever town they're nearby. So it is their own authority. And these two detectives, you know, they really try to figure things out. Well, mysteries. They think they're basic stuff, like it looks like a case of murder or robbery, but there's a mystical element to it where, you know, it talks about their ceremonies actually in depth, and you know, the importance of it, and it kind of also really gives you, I think, a glimpse into how Native American culture really blends with aspects of just modern culture. And yeah, I love this guy. He's passed away, but he wrote probably 25 books. And this one's like a big, huge novel, you know, that comes with 3. Dance Hall of the Dead and Listening Woman. Dance Hall of the Dead was really good because, you know, there's necromancy in this, where the detectives, in order to figure out the mystery about who they think is going to kill this one boy, gets killed in one of these stories, and then they're trying to figure out like how they can stop the killer. So they attend like a ceremony where they sweat and they do fasting, and they do necromancy. So really, really neat, but it gives you the whole range. One of the big characters in here is a Christian priest that they get feedback from. But you know, I really, honestly, you can probably just tell I love this. Yeah, here's another one where I really, as you could tell, I like the hardcover editions of these. This one's the First Eagle, but look at the detail on it. Isn't that so cool? I love masks, and I love the idea of, you know, using masks to invoke gods and experience the divine, the way that this is, in this theatrical, deliberate way. And, you know, a lot of times they lived off the sides of the mountains and carved their homes into the side of the mountain. Nothing cool on the back. Okay. I don't think on this one either. Oh, yeah, actually. Alright, guys, here is Tony Hillerman himself. And here is the detail on the front of this. This one's called The Wailing Wind. And I mean, it's really, really, I just absolutely love it. It's just mountains in the background. And it's just so different. It's a different culture, and I just get really, enthralled with it, so. And then, of course, last but not least, so recently, my partner was like, oh, I have to order a bunch of stuff online, so what kind of, do you want a book? I'll get you a book. You're always reading. What kind of book do you want? And I was like, rather than get, maybe like a mystery novel, I was like, I'll just get something by Aleister Crowley, because I used to have all of Michael Ford's, I wouldn't say all, actually, but, I mean, probably like 8 of his books. I had a copy of his Luciferian Goetia. So, I might have given that, I think I gave that to my neighbor as well, and I hope he got something out of it, but, so I ordered this. I was super excited because this is, with Aleister Crowley. Now, S.L. McGregor Mathers, he was a ceremonial occultist who really taught Crowley a lot, initiated him, and they would eventually fight, of course. And instead of, kissing and making up, then they went their separate ways, and Crowley founded Thelema, and, McGregor Mathers stayed with the OTO. But, I mean, this is the master that Crowley learned from. And I'm just happy they were able to work together for a moment in time for us to have. It's a very basic book, though. This sort of feels waxy, to be honest with you, which is really weird, because I kind of like old, decrepit kind of books. But, it just has, some of these are just Crowley's just random drawings and whatever, but in here it does do, we have Balaam is an example here, and gives the whole thing about how many legions, what number, and all that stuff that's not super important, but still really cool. And then it does say in the front cover here, you know, this is just a printed modern version of the 1904 one, so it's really, really neat. Now, a funny story time, probably a stoner moment. Not sure, to be honest. But I ordered this book. I was expecting it the next day. You guys know how online ordering works. So I was expecting it. So at some point in the afternoon, I hear, you know, the knock at my door, and I go out to go get my book, and I'm so excited. I just see the cardboard box there, and I like bring it inside and I rip it open. And I quickly realized that this is not my book, and it was in like a, I don't know, like a tiny box, like half the size of this book. And it was a brand new toilet bowl cleaner. I shit you not. And so I was like, oh shit, this isn't mine. So it was somebody, you know, who lives kind of close by. And I thought, alright, whatever, one of us is going to need to go take that over there. And we call up Amazon later and tell them you know, hey, you sent us the wrong thing. So my partner goes, whatever, to return, to give the package to the guy. And he taped it back up and he was like, I'm sorry that it was open, but, you know, my partner, she loves to read, but at the same time, she was too, I think the word he used is stupid as a joke, too stupid to read a box that not only says toilet bowl cleaner, but it just has a picture on it. But see, like, I don't pay attention to things like that. I was just really excited for this book. So, the kid got a good laugh out of it. And that was really funny, to be honest. And then, so Amazon goes, well, we'll send you another copy. So I have two of these. And the reason I have two is because I think the following day, somebody else who, whatever, lives near us got our mail. And, you know, they were kind enough to bring it to us. And so I have two copies. So I'm going, well, what should I do? And I was like, who should I give this other copy to? To me, this is sacred. To me, this is like, this is my space. You know, this is my thing. And I was like, well, you know, actually, there used to be a pagan group, but the woman who ran it, she just recently passed away. So I was a part of a coven for a while, and then her health declined in the last couple of years, really bad, right before she passed away. So I was like, I'm gonna go out, you know, at some time this year when I really feel the need, and I'm gonna, you know, in some way be socially involved in paganism, in Luciferianism in some way, you know. But I was like, but you know, all those people, they probably have these kinds of books and whatever. But I was like, I think there's one guy I know who I'm going to give it to. He actually walks by a lot. So I guess I'm the weirdo watching him, but I'm not a weirdo like that. So I just, the way he walks, it makes me think that he is an empath. And then I did kind of get those glimpses of what I think that he looked like in a previous lifetime. This kid's probably 16, but he's like, honestly, he's like 6'2" or something. And he just seems like, he walks like the hermit from Tarot, the old guy, the old hermit, but that's how he walks. Like, the introspection that you can tell is going on with him is so deep that I'm just like, what have you figured out, like, you know, about reality? Like, you need to tell me, kind of a thing. I mean, that's just the way that he seems to me. So I figure one day when the time is right and I'm just, like, happen to be doing, I don't know, something like yard work, I just happen to be hanging out outside and I see him go by, I'm going to I think I'm going to approach him so that, he doesn't see where I come from exactly. I'm going to tell him, hey, I can tell you're an empath, and I think you really need to have this book, because I think that he's struggling with the, some of the dark aspects of empathy. And I think that the best thing to do with empaths is to kind of, of course, be there for them, to let them have an outlet in some way, but to help them channel their energy so they can know that, whether it's tarot, whether it's, drawing sigils, candle magic, that there's ways to channel this energy. And I think that I really believe that that's a big part of what I want to do to help certain people. So I really have to feel very strongly that that is, what, hey, this is really the right thing. And yeah, I just think that that is, and I'm going to be like, yeah, so have a good day, and then probably, hide this from your mom or whatever, or not. I don't really know or care. I'm just a random stranger who wanted to give you a book. I hope it helps you. That's totally how that's going to go down. And when it does, I'll let you guys know. Maybe because part of me is maybe I'm just completely wrong or something like that, but I really think that it's neat to see when I really can pick up on somebody's feelings, and then, they validate it. They're like, yes. I mean, that's really the real psychic's kind of high, if you will. Just kind of going okay, I feel this way when I interact with this person or I watch this person. So, here's all this information that I think I can get from that. And then I wonder if it's true. And I love that kind of feedback for sure. Yeah, so, not that I don't approach people with books very often, but I think this is definitely, this was meant to be, if you will. Yeah, so this is my book collection, and I've got a whole bunch of Stephen King that's still mine, but it's with some of my younger cousins, and I'm always happy to lend some books out, and I love to see people read. I love to see people read in person. I know not everybody likes to read in person. I do, because I started reading in the 90s, and I love to hold a book. I love to smell it. It just, I feel like I can really hold the story in my hands, as opposed to me holding my phone. Now, if I'm on my phone and I'm just fucking around and I'm reading a Mysterious Universe or just really learning something, that's fine too, but there's just not a magic to it like reading a hard copy of paperback's fine, but it's the same idea. I can hold it in my hands and it's real. So I don't care how old I get, I'm going to have some, I'm going to always be a reader, and that'll be a habit. I'll say, well, you know what? That's a thing from the 90s. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for listening to my book rant.